do you find they're pretty good about not defaulting, or is there a decent default rate?
There's a pretty good default rate, but the nice thing about that is it depends on the state if you're doing a contract for deed or do you have trust or the way that you structure it. But basically, every state has the contracts and the paperwork of how this process goes. And there's so many defaults on it, it's really easy to get the property basically because your name still stays on title for it.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're just deeding over the property to them and then just like hoping that they pay you. It's when they default, there's a very straightforward process you go through to get 100% of the rights to the property back. Plus, you get to keep all the money that they paid on it so far
Great.
too.
Yeah.
So it's not even like a bad thing, really, for
Yeah.
me when somebody defaults on it because I get
It's a
to
good
sell the
thing.
property again. Yeah. So
No.
yeah, the default rate doesn't matter too much to me.
Okay. No, and I was actually curious because I see the benefit to it when it happens. I mean, obviously, none of us wish that upon anybody, but when it does, you're protected is basically where I was going with it, and it actually
Mhm.
is only upside for your business. So love that. And are there any? Oh, go ahead, Art.
I was just gonna ask, what's kind of the average kind of value of these deals?
Yeah, so I like to get target stuff where I'm selling it under $50,000. That's like 80% of my like bell curve is going to be I'm selling under 50,000.
Okay.
There'll be some where like the nice like premium like front properties that are in the six figures, but most of them are in under that 50,000. And the reason why is they just sell faster. It's the same with like luxury real estate. $1 million house, no matter how nice it is just going to sit on the market longer than a $300,000 house. It's the same thing with land. So if it's under 50,000, I can sell it faster. And yeah, that's what I look for.
I'm curious too, as you do look at these properties, are there any like states you stay away from, or is anything fair game?
Yeah. So like living in Las Vegas, I don't really do anything in Nevada for the most
Yeah.
part, just because with these type of properties like the recreational rural, nobody really wants to drive an hour outside of Las Vegas and have their cabin there because you're in the middle of
Yeah.
the desert. So basically, I'll do it anywhere where it makes sense to have rural properties. So a lot of stuff like out east or southeast, or like the West Coast or the Midwest.
Yeah.
Basically everywhere except for the out west where there's this desert.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting though, because you look at like Yucca Valley out near, Joshua Tree. That one's really boomed with the land out there, which just shocked me still because I'm like, oh my gosh, like you can't even get water half the time. It's a place out there, you got to pipe it in. But I also know that there with the national park, that one's probably a little bit of a exception to it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. There has to be a reason to go to the property, so that's like one of the things I look for. The big three things are the price. So I have to be able to get it at a good price. I have to the zoning's the next big thing. So the zoning has to be mostly unrestricted, where it allows all these different things: the camping, tiny
Yeah.
houses, Airbnb. And then the third thing is like the physical attributes. So like one, it has to be within that 1 to 3 hours of a major city because that's gonna be your buyer's market. And then it also has to be a reason. So it's usually gonna be like a wooded type property. Like nobody really wants to go camp in the middle of a farm field or in the desert. And then there also has to be a reason for them to go there. So like, what are they doing there? Is there a lot of land for them to go hunting on? Is there lakes nearby for them to go for recreation, fishing? Is there a national park nearby? So like there has to be a reason for somebody to go to that property.
Sure. That makes sense. Do you ever have folks make improvements on it and then default?
Yeah. I just went up yesterday to a couple properties that defaulted and I looked them over to get them ready to list again. And one person cleared out entrance and the other person put in like a nice gravel driveway. So
No. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Nice upside.
bonus on top of the money.
Yeah, exactly. And now when you mentioned some of the improvements you do in your own, I know you mentioned that driveway. Do you ever go further with like septic or water or electrical, or is it just not worth the cost for you?
Not yet, not usually, unless it's a really nice lakefront property, like the premium ones. Sometimes it can make sense to do those things,
Yeah.
but majority of the time, it's not worth you're not going to get the return on it for the
Okay.
cost. I have to, the one thing I've done a couple tiny houses, and those tend to actually pay off, like the cost for them, just because they sell a lot faster too when you have a tiny house on it that's ready for somebody to use. So
Yeah.
that's the one that's just like a whole nother business though. If you're gonna start developing stuff.
Of course, if you get into that, let me know. That's the part. No, I get excited about.
I back in the days, I knew someone that was looking for a land to buy large enough to do some outdoor, like, music festival type events at,
Nice.
I have no idea where that happened, but I'm curious, have any of your buyers come and say, "I need land to, looking for zoning for music festivals?"
I haven't had anybody ask for a music
Okay.
festival. I get a lot of people who ask for other thing. A lot of people ask about like animals. A lot of people want to have like a farm, but I mean, most of the time, I try to find land that's the least restrictive possible, so it has the most use cases because then you can sell it to most people.
How are you finding these deals or the land in general?
Yeah, majority is off market, so reaching out just to landowners and asking if they want to sell, basically. So I do that through public record shows who owns a property, right? And it has their mailing address of who owns it. So I go on and I search for the type of properties that I want. So I filter out like if I'm looking for a certain size,
Yeah.
looking for the zoning type, like all the criteria that I have, and then I get my list of this is all the people who own land in this county that like fit my criteria, and then I'll send them direct mail. So I'll mail them and I'll ask like, hey, do you want to sell your property? And some people do. So, that's how I
Yeah.
buy them.
That's awesome. Sounds so straightforward. Did you ever find anything off the traditional resources like the Zillows or whatever else of the world?
Yeah. So the other two ways that I buy it are sometimes I'll buy stuff on market. So that's like one of the systems that I have set up is just sending out a bunch of lowball offers, basically, the
Yeah.
stuff that hits my criteria.
Okay.
And occasionally some of those will hit from on market, and then I also do tax auctions, tax foreclosure auctions, and again those don't hit as often. It's just kind of like every once in a while you'll find a deal.
Yeah. Interesting. And then the ones when you are doing the cold reach out, are there or the mail, however you want to say it, in those cases, is it usually a profile once more of like a certain size and you know that that market would not be above X price? Like you have certain things that get you to limit where you're doing your targeting?
Yeah. So the big thing is I look for like those three things: the zoning, the location, and the price. And then a lot of land is done at a county level because that's where the zoning is the most restrictive for the most part is the county's zoning, as long as you're not within the city. So I'll do research to figure out which counties have good zoning, and those ones are the ones that I go and filter down from there. Like the size is big. I tend to stick to smaller properties just because once you get to bigger properties, prices become more normalized again because
Uh,
it's more of like a price per acre that you're
yeah.
making offers off of. So then you don't have as much a spread on your profit.
Okay.
And also just you have more money invested in the property. So you have a little bit more risk compared to if you buy smaller ones and you do more volume, then you have less risk. Because if one property goes bad, but you have, you know, 20 other ones, then
Right.
it evens out. But yeah, the nice thing I've never lost money on a deal yet.